Welcome to August the 10th. I'll start from 2017, work back to 2014, and take it from there. Something should not happen, but they do. Victoria's opposition leader, Matthew Guy, had a dinner with a guy banned from a casino, and the Australian Labor Party are demanding he resign and accusing him of consorting with gangsters. The denunciation is almost funny coming from anyone connected with the CFMEU. Almost. There is something behind the attack that hasn't been widely circulated, partly because it is before court and, in all likelihood, many frontline ALP members of Parliament will be forced to resign for abuse of power in office. It involves the Red Shirt Brigade, who support Australian Labor Party by handing out how-to-vote cards, door-knocking, phoning constituents, and so on. Red shirts are supposed to be volunteers, and by electoral office rules, if they are paid by members, are restricted to that member's area. Only ALP offices have been paying their red shirt sums like $48 an hour, and they've been acting outside their jurisdiction. I'll quote Matthew Guy from Parliament on the 8th of March 2017. Mr. Guy, Leader of the Opposition. Premier, you lead a chaotic, scandal-ridden government and a party that has seen 3 ministers, a whip and 2 presiding officers, all forced to resign. Steve Herbert from the Legislative Council chauffeured his dogs from one end of the state to the other. Your 2 former presiding officers perpetrate the biggest expenses rort in Victorian political history. The massive red shirt rorting of electoral office budgets and millions of dollars spent on legal fees trying to stop the Ombudsman investigating these rorts. On top of all of that, Premier, you've allowed yourself to be blackmailed by the United Firefighters Union and Peter Marshall. Premier, is your government chaotic, incompetent, negligent, or all of the above? There is a court investigating the Red Shirt Brigade's issue, and it is due to report soon, and the ALP know the findings will be damning, and all the ALP can do is complain about a lobster dinner engaged in public. At the Battle of Lechfeld in 955, Hungarians claimed to be Europeans. Germans disputed it and won. In 991, at the Battle of Malden in Essex, Vikings faced Ethelred the Unready and won 3,300 kilograms of silver. In 1270, Yakuno Amlak took the imperial throne of Ethiopia, restoring the Solomonic dynasty to power after 100 years Zagwe interregnum. In 1316, the Second Battle of Athenry between Irish forces resulted in an Irish loss. No survivors wrote an account. Many lost their heads. In 1512, at the Battle of St. Matthew, England's Henry VIII had a naval victory, but both the flagships blew up, possibly the first engagement using port cannon. In 1519, Magellan set off on a round-the-world trip. He died en route. His birthplace is disputed as to changeovers between Spain and Portugal. He might have been Palestinian. In 1628, Sweden built the magnificent Vasa, which sank 20 minutes into her maiden voyage. In 1675, desperate to know the correct time, the cornerstone to Royal Greenwich Observatory was laid. In 1776, the Declaration of Independence reached London. In 1792, in the French Revolution, Louis XVI was arrested and his entire bodyguard killed. The next year, the Musée du Louvre was opened. In 1846, the Smithsonian was chartered by the U.S. Congress. In 1904, the Russians and Japanese faced off at the Battle of Yellow Sea and had a draw. In 1932, a meteorite weighing 5.1 kilograms landed in Missouri. In 1948, Candid Camera made a TV debut a year after Candid Microphone began on radio. In 1969, a day after murdering Sharon Tate and 4 others, members of Charles Manson's cult killed Leno and Rosemarie LaBianca. In 1977, David Berkowitz was arrested. He was called the Son of Sam, and he had killed people at random. In 1981, the head of Adam Walsh was found. Adam was 6 years old, and his death prompted his dad to start America's Most Wanted. In 1988, Reagan began paying compensation to living Japanese Americans detained in World War II by signing the Civil Liberties Act of 1988. In 1990, the Magellan space probe reached Venus 471 years after Magellan set forth on a circumnavigation. In 1995, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols were indicted for the Oklahoma bombing. In 2003, the highest temperature ever recorded in the UK, 38.5 degrees centigrade, was reached. It has been cooler ever since. On the same day, a couple married in space, but there is no evidence that they are gay.